It is a great day to be alive, and I am so thankful for God, Jesus Christ, who lives in us. Today's video is titled, Swift and Fed Switch to the Ripple and XRP System. Before we get started, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing that I'm sharing is financial advice. I'm simply sharing dreams, visions, and interpretations I feel God has given me as it relates to crypto. Now, let's get into the video. So I want to start with some things that I've shared about XRP in some previous videos. One of the things that I shared was a dream that I had on December 6th of last year about XRP, seeing the price of XRP increasing from the prices of $253 up to $274 up to $281. At this point in time, XRP has surpassed these prices, meaning that the XRP price had to come down. As I began to see these prices increase, I also saw colors of blue and red. There was a section of blue and a section of red. In the blue section, I saw what looked to be the inside of a body, but the color was blue. I saw what looked to be intestines, what looked to be a stomach and esophagus. And the final level, which was red, I saw what looked to be a heartbeat. And I knew that this entire dream was connected to XRP. Therefore, I titled this dream, The Anatomy of XRP. After sharing that dream, I also shared this in this video titled, The XRP Switch To, that is about to take place. In this video, I shared how I saw this switch game, just looking online on my phone. It happened to pop up and I saw this switch game that was the same exact colors as what I saw in my XRP dream, again titled The Anatomy of XRP. Looking at this, I automatically knew that God wanted me to go back and take another look at this dream. Putting it all together, God gave me the message that I shared in that video. But we are very close to seeing the following: the switch to another financial system, the switch to XRP replacing BTC, the switch to RLSUSD replacing Tether, the switch to the dollar becoming replaced as a world reserve currency. And that is the message that I received from seeing this particular video game. Then I came back in a final video, this video that's titled Tether Collapse and XRP Timeline Connection. And in this video, towards the end, I shared this particular article that I saw. And this article was, again, about XRP, but it was the picture that went along with this article that caught my attention. It was a picture of inside of a body, and there was a heart. The colors caught my attention, blue and red. Those are the exact same colors in my first XRP dream, The Anatomy of XRP. It was the same colors that caught my eye with the switch game, and now I see it here again in this article. To make things more interesting, I now see the XRP symbol on the heart. In the first XRP dream, I saw a heart beating in that third and final level that was red. The heart in this particular picture is the same color. The XRP logo is on the heart. And so this is basically confirmation on top of confirmation that God is getting ready to do something with XRP and Ripple. This brings me to the final piece. Someone sent this to me. She said that when she saw this, she immediately thought about my XRP dream, The Anatomy of XRP. And I looked for this video, but could not find it. But I included it here towards the end of this video. I'm going to play that. But this gentleman may be a familiar face to you. He shared this video, this AI video that was put together pertaining to Ripple and XRP replacing the Fed and SWIFT system. And when I was watching this video, what I saw was them using this little AI individual, this person. And when I saw the XRP, or I should say the RLUSD logo on the chest of the little AI person, I immediately thought about my XRP dream, the body system. And this is how I see this portrayed throughout this video, how this system, this new system for Ripple and XRP that will replace SWIFT and the Feds, is put together for us to look at like the body's system. As to when we may see these things take place, takes me back to a 2024 dream about international banking. I shared this also in previous videos, but in this dream, national banking was gone. International banking was the only thing. The dollar was collapsing. It was the first week of November. I knew this because I was looking at a calendar saying my birthday is tomorrow. There was a classmate in that dream with me. Her birthday is November 4th. November 4th has been a date that we've connected to XRP. And to be specific, I had this dream on September 4th, 2024. Again, looking back at November 4th being connected to XRP, I have shown many videos where God has correlated this to be true. Diddy being one of the most recent. And then this year, it just so happens that the Ripple Swell event took place on November 4th through the 5th. So going back to this list again of things that took place in this stream, what has transpired in 2025 so far? The banking systems, are they gone? No, but are they on the verge of going? That's a question. Some people may say yes, some people may say no, but we're going to get into some things that has been taking place just this first week of November. So we're going to come back and revisit national banking being gone, international banking only, and the dollar collapsing. We want to jump straight down to the first week of November and take a look at what has happened. Fed repo and liquidity crisis. On October 31st, it was marked as the day of the biggest repo since 2020 as it relates to the month of October, as bank reserves crash to 2.8 trillion. So here again, this is pointing to a banking crisis, a future banking crisis, liquidity crisis. All of this has caused the Feds to be involved and implement this process of Fed repo. And again, this issue is a lack of liquidity. So looking back at what could be a liquidity crisis for our economy, is the US dollar strong? Well, in my research, I found out that short term, yes, relatively strong, but medium to long term, the dollar is under pressure and likely to weaken unless the U.S. growth, fiscal monetary policy, or other fundamentals substantially improve. So cracks in the foundation when it comes down to the U.S. dollar, when it comes down to national banking. And so now the question is, could the rest of this list transpire in 2026 based on what we have already seen happen? And as a result, would XRP and Ripple, this new system, replace what we now know as the SWIFT system? And I feel what God has been revealing to me about this switch of these systems, He's showing it to me in a peculiar way as far as the comparison goes between XRP and the body and the human body. And I think he did this in such a way that when we see this again, like what I'm going to show you in this video, when we see this again, like the colors and the picture and the diagram of the heart and the XRP logo, when we see these things, we just know that this is a setup from God, and only God can make these types of connections, something that can't be replicated or something that cannot be copied from someone else. This is God's generic way of showing what He's going to do with XRP by using the body system. But I thank God for His uniqueness and how He has been bringing all these things together. And so now we want to get into this video. It's about a 10-minute video. Again, it's an AI video about Ripple and XRP replacing the Fed and SWIFT system. And pay close attention to what is said at the 9-minute and 30-second mark through the 9-minute and 37-second mark. The comparison that is being used lets me know that we are getting ready to step into this wealth transfer.
While everyone's distracted by political theater, the biggest financial revolution in American history has been happening under our noses. In about 24 months, one company quietly spent over $3 billion assembling what can reasonably be called a replacement for the Federal Reserve System. Not a competitor, a replacement. I'm talking about Ripple. Before you think crypto company, pause. That's exactly the perception being encouraged while Ripple acquires core financial infrastructure. Here's what they've actually built. This isn't a startup with a white paper. It's a full stack monetary system already operational. In 2023, Ripple acquired Hidden Road for $1.25 billion. Hidden Road was a global multi-asset prime broker serving 300 plus institutions, having cleared over $3 trillion across FX, crypto, derivatives, and fixed income. Rebranded as Ripple Prime, Ripple didn't buy a trading desk. They bought Wall Street's plumbing. Next, G Treasury reported integration value $1 billion, connects 800 plus corporate clients, and to 13,000 banks, moving roughly $12.5 trillion in annual payment volume. That gives Ripple direct pipes into where Fortune 500 CFOs manage cash, liquidity, FX, collateral, and working capital. Rail, for about $200 million, processes a meaningful share of global stablecoin B2B settlements and automates back-office reconciliation. Ripple folded Rail into its stablecoin business and RLUSD Instant, programmable commercial money for business settlement. Put simply, Ripple Prime equals market access plus liquidity. G Treasury equals corporate treasury layer. Rail plus RLUSD equals instant settlement dollar. These moves form the plumbing of a new monetary chassis. Ripple also acquired Mitaco Institutional Custody and Tokenization Infra and Standard Custody, a New York chartered trust. That gives institutional grade custody for crypto, tokenized real-world assets, CBDCs, and stablecoin. Crucially, Ripple has applied to the OCC for a national bank charter and for a Federal Reserve master account. If granted, Ripple becomes a Fed-connected bank that can custody digital assets, issue RLUSD, and clear value directly with the central bank 24/7, not sitting in the lobby, but walking into the control room. Brad Garlinghouse has said XRP sits at the center of everything Ripple does. So assemble the layers. Ripple Prime for market access, G Treasury for corporate cash management, Rail and RLUSD for instant settlement, Standard Custody, Mitaco for regulated vaults, a national bank charter for legal authority, and XRPL, ODL, ILP, AMM for trustless, programmable settlement. This is a full reserve, always on, globally compliant, tokenized monetary system, not a prototype. Now, what problems does this solve that governments and corporations are desperate to fix?
Okay.
Problem A, slow settlement and counterparty risk. International wires and correspondent banking take days, create FX slippage, and layer intermediaries who each add fees and risk. With XRP as a neutral bridge and RLUSD as a regulated settlement dollar, counterparties in different currencies can settle atomically. I get mine only when you get yours. Settlement compresses from T+2 to 3 days to mere seconds, with ISO 20022 data embedded for audit, compliance, and tariffs. Problem B, opacity and liquidity, collateral, and rehypothecation. Today, the same collateral can be pledged multiple times across prime brokerage and derivatives. Ripple Prime plus on-ledger custody means collateral, margin, and settlement can be transparent and auditable. Tokenized custody prevents secretly pledging the same asset many times. The fraud window narrows. Problem C, corporate treasury fragmentation. Multinationals juggle bank accounts in 20 countries. FX swaps, compliance checks, liquidity pools, and manual reconciliation. G Treasury, integrated into Ripple plugs Treasury ops into programmable rails, so value, reserves, and FX flow instantly across 13,000 plus banks and hundreds of corporates. Corporate money becomes software. Problem D, regulatory accountability. Regulators now demand provable compliance. Every transfer can carry structured data satisfying AML, KYC, sanction screening, tariff enforcement, and tax reporting in near real time. That's trusted but verifiable. You don't have to trust a counterparty. You can verify them on ledger. So what happens to the Fed model? The Fed issues base money and backstops banks. Commercial banks multiply base money through fractional reserve lending, creating credit that becomes deposits and charging interest on it. The system is intentionally opaque. Now place Ripple's stack alongside that. Direct impact has-on, transparency, pressure, atomic, timestamp, KYC, auditable settlement, makes the black box netting of big banks obsolete. Direct impact #2, liquidity without leverage. Provably backed instant settlement reduces the need to borrow bank IOUs for cross-border movement. Direct impact #3, collateral discipline. Tokenized, regulated custody shrinks secret rehypothecation and forces leverage down. Direct impact #4, alternative rails for sovereigns. If Ripple gains a Fed master account and issues RLUSD under supervision, Large corporates and treasuries can bypass parts of the correspondent bank stack. Direct impact hash 5. End of hidden usury as default. Instant, auditable, asset-backed settlement makes it harder to justify skimming interest on credit conjured by ledger entries. This is bigger than tech versus banks. It touches law and moral order. God's law honors honest weights and measures, transparent dealings, no theft by deception, and no oppression through abusive lending. The old system legalized money creation without collateral, routed it through private banks, and normalized charging interest on fabricated credit, a system that benefits from murky audit trails and concentrated control. That's Pharaoh economics. Control the grain, force dependence, rent life back to the slaves at interest. The emerging system Ripple aligns with, offers the opposite. Tokenized value that's traceable, provable, and redeemable. Settlement finality without blind trust. Stablecoins like RLUSD that can be on-chain accountable and, if supervised by a bank charter and Fed account, directly overseen. XRP as a neutral bridge doesn't belong to any one nation or megabank. Neutrality plus auditability is the antidote to captive money. Under these conditions, the Fed's legacy model looks inefficient, non-compliant with modern data needs, systemically dangerous because of hidden rehypothecation, and morally indefensible when full reserve settlement is available. This doesn't guarantee overnight collapse, it's a trajectory. Nations move toward ledgered bilateral trade. Stablecoin legislation forces dollar token issuers into banking oversight, and Ripple is positioning itself as a regulated 24/7 settlement bank with custody, brokerage, treasury management, and programmable rails. So, do these trends merely challenge the Fed? No, they put its opaque, fractional reserve, usury-based model on trial. Ripple's integrated stack offers a lawful, transparent, auditable alternative that settles in seconds, encodes compliance at the transaction layer, honors real collateral, shrinks hidden leverage, and starves the parasite of unearned interest. In divine terms, this is the difference between Pharaoh lending you your labor at interest and Moses leading you through a door God opened. Brad Garlinghouse says XRP sits at the center of everything Ripple does because XRP and the rails Ripple is licensing and wiring into the Fed are being positioned as the neutral bridge for honest weights and measures. The days of invisible money priests extracting rent on engineered scarcity are numbered.